Do you guys know what a contrarian is?
Uh-huh.
Someone who's always fucking talking shit.
That's why I wanted to talk about
Someone
this.
who always wants to fucking just be the
like,
devil's advocate. Just to play devil's advocate. It's like always gotta go against the grain.
Well, it's more like anti-echo chamber, if you will. You know?
I like it. It's
I guess
fun.
that's how my brain works. It's like if there's too much of one thing in a room, my brain's like, I'm gonna go
it's
against
I'm
what
gonna
you're
watch
gonna do.
CNN for half hour, then I'm gonna watch Fox for half an hour, then I'm gonna go back, maybe a little MSNBC, just
Then go to 4chan.
and then we're gonna see what 4chan has to say about it.
Yeah, it's a healthy balance. But like, I mean, I feel like we all have that in us at some point, though, right? Like,
If you're in the arts, you gotta.
into what?
If you're in the arts, you gotta.
I think if you're a creative person, by definition, you have to be, because creative means taking what's the standard and starting to warp and bend.
Flipping it, yeah.
Try to take your and like try to like make it your own.
Dude, I never considered myself creative at all or like artistic at all. But then like putting our house together and knowing how I don't want to do what a lot of people are doing. That's when Casey's like, see, you're an artist. And I'm like, oh shit, I am?
Dude, and
Everyone has a little bit of artist in them.
I've been to your Animal Crossing island. Very nice. I've been to your house and Animal Crossing
That's
island, by the way. I think your house is even better.
Oh, thanks.
There you go.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I guess knowing that little bit is, because I tend to think of myself as always going with the flow. Like, oh, everyone is doing this. Okay, let's go do that. Like, I don't really think about
Dude, the way your stairs are, that's not going with the flow. That's like you're unique and you're showing your shit and you're like, hey, this is me.
You're being bold.
What's on the stairs?
Yeah, what's
Got
on
like
the
fucking
stairs?
stickers on her stairs.
I
Yeah.
have wallpaper on my
On the face?
And it
face
works.
of the stairs.
I'm into that. I'm into
It's
that.
nice. It's like, it adds like a whole texture
What kind of
piece
tropical,
to
little
everything.
palm trees, little
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Hotel action?
It's a dangerous move because if she didn't pull it off, it'd be like, whoa,
Yeah.
who do you think you are?
No, but that's
do you think
actually
you are?
the reaction that a lot of people had still, because it's just not their taste. But then I realized, like, oh, I guess I am an artist because
You're a contrarian.
And you don't care, yeah, you did it for you.
But it works with your decor. It all fits. That's what I'm saying.
I like to follow the herd. I'm more,
No, you don't.
Well, Dante doesn't know me, so I think I want to be real with Dante. I'm actually just, you know, like I'm a normal dude.
You're a
like,
normal guy.
He's very PC, bro.
Yeah,
Totally.
Very PC.
I don't like. Yeah,
That's
I'm
exactly
just.
right.
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
And he doesn't like the fans at all.
Nope.
No. And when the cameras and when every time we hit cut, he's like, the way the world is on my shoulders. Like, I'm just struggling with so many things.
Yeah,
Oh shit. Yeah. So
I worry a lot.
a psychologist recently broke down in this article what a contrarian, well, at least what drives their senses to be opposite of what is popular
It's
opinion.
attention.
It is attention. Yes, that's one of the reasons.
All
yeah.
attention.
But to break that further down, it's like so people turn to minority opinions to bolster their sense of who they are as individuals. So there's a sense of needing to be. So there's like two needs, right? There's need for individualism and a need of belongingness. And for contrarians, you know, there's a need to be individual more so than
Belonging. Yeah.
And so
It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum.
and it's a spectrum. Yeah.
It's
So
like the punk rock kids.
punk rock kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from high school.
Oh yeah.
They're not going to conform, dude. Fuck that.
But they conform to each other.
Correct.
So I think they still have to. They don't. They want to be. They want to be individual, but they still want to be able to relate.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're not mutually exclusive. I don't.
They're
think.
not. Yeah. It is a spectrum.
So I went to Cal State LA, and within Cal State LA, there's a LA Arts High School.
Yeah,
so they
Locksha.
so it's a bunch of these eclectic kids, right? But the funny thing is, they're all eclectic. So when they get together in a group, and even though everyone's dressing crazy, it looks like one group.
Yeah, because if you're just straight in that, then you're the crazy one.
So you're all just fitting in at that point. So
It's like a bunch of Prince impersonators together.
yeah.
And they're all like, wait a minute. Like, well, I'm gonna wear a suit, a regular suit then, not a purple suit.
yeah, and I think it's the funniest thing, right? Because it's like if 90% of people go against the grain and then they follow a style that's similar to each other, then you're actually the majority now in your group.
Yeah.
True.
That is true.
It's the funniest
And
thing.
then you're like, I'm the majority now. You gotta flip the script again.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending
But then I was
back
reading
and
this
forth.
thing about how we think we have free choice, but now a lot of the major scientists in the world are saying that's actually, we're realizing it's false, that none of us have any free choice. Everything we're actually doing is just a synapse in the brain reacting to another thing.
It's engineered.
It's engineered, and they did this thing where people have like 48-hour like amnesia, and so they can't remember anything, and they go into loops, and it goes into like full-on 15-minute conversations that happen exactly the same over and over again. And they're like, everything that we do, we think we're doing, but we're not doing it. We're just
Playing out the program.
you're playing out the way whatever your mind is, it's going.
It's like saying that you're not susceptible to advertising, but then you buy like one of those weird flashlights that are also a weapon off of YouTube.
Where'd you get that?
I'll show you.
All right, hell yeah.
I think we're being contrarian, but that's just the synopsis in your brain. You can't stop it anyway. That's what
You don't recognize when you're conforming.
I think
Right.
the reason for it is like when you kind of like obsess for the truth or something, like there's got to be something more, or like you want special knowledge. Yeah, special knowledge or something. Well, I don't know. I think for me, it started with questioning when it doesn't feel the answer doesn't feel satisfying, such as religion or something. When I was a kid, and I'm like, hey, that doesn't make any sense, and then I pursue this until I feel good about it.
That makes sense. Yeah, another explanation is being burned by conventional ideas. So, for example, being a child of divorce, you actually the psychological effects of that might be, I'll never get married then myself, and so then there's a defiance to that, and that gets its own attention, and that gets its own like contrarian element.
Or you'll get married and be better than your parents at something they fucking failed at.
True.
Yep.
I mean, it can be contrarian.
They both contrarian, right?
They're both
Yeah.
contrarian.
Isn't that crazy how like you could be opposite, but the opposites are opposite again?
Yeah.
It should be that way.
That's
Keeps
so
everything
crazy.
balanced that way. I like that.
Well, that's Taoism.
What do you mean?
Without light, without darkness, there's no light, and vice versa. And it's the same. Like it's like so. Like the rebel becomes the institution, and again and again and again, right?
Fine.
Yeah.
The trick is to have no judgment on either side of it.
True.
Don't judge the rebel and don't judge the institution.
Is that possible though?
Yeah, just don't.
I love it. No, look, I love it.
Don't upside down Nike sign.
Yeah, it is possible. Just don't.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on the only Taoist Buddhist show on YouTube then, because everybody else literally makes a living from judging everybody else.
Right. They pick one side and they
Pick one
ride or
side,
die.
Pick one creator, pick anybody, destroy them for a living, do a 20-part series on how we're destroying somebody.
Do it because it's not real anyway.
But it's fun.
None of it is. It's all just stories, made up stories.
True.
I guess for you, like, what is your driving force? Being such a strong contrarian.
I think I get bored in a room full of people that have the same thought. And
Echo chambers.
Yeah, it's like I don't like echo chambers, so I'm just gonna throw a wrench in it and just see what happens.
Or like, for example, because you remember how me and you used to butt heads a lot with
Here we go.
Ready.
Here we go.
with enjoying TV, for example.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't like TV. TV's whack. It's never gonna live up to what movies can do.
Holy shit.
Oh, was I wrong?
That's not contrarian, that's just being a snob.
Yeah. I didn't like, in particular, I didn't want to join the Game of Thrones train.
Change the game.
Yeah.
I didn't want
game.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't want to join it because
But you bent the knee
I
somehow.
bent the knee.
But I don't wait. I don't think that's contrarian. I think that's just being reluctant.
Well, no.
Like-
Like, hold on. Everybody was talking about Game of Thrones. They're all fucking jerking off about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's contrarian to be like, nah, I don't watch it. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
and then there's a joy in someone's reaction going, "You don't watch Game of Thrones?"
I get it.
So it is for attention.
There is no, absolutely.
Because the way I took contrarian was someone who watches it, doesn't enjoy it, and then dissects or challenges people who does enjoy
Well,
it.
participation is contrarian too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything could be.
It's all about perspective.
It's a mental pretzel, dude.
It's kind of like constantly being like counterculture. Or like
Yeah.
you don't like what the majority is doing, so you're like countering that.
I mean, and I did do that too. I watched it. I watched the first episode, and I was like, "Eh."
But it changes because I know you're a filmmaker. When we all thought one way about TV, then we realized the really great series that are changing,
Oh, it's fucking
impacting
amazing.
films now. You're talking about getting a chance to make a movie that's 2 hours long, or getting to make a movie that's 24 hours long.
Yeah. It's like movies as novels almost.
Yeah. So now you
Yep.
get to do a story that's overarching, and you can never tell a book. You can't tell a book in a movie because the book's always gonna be better because it unlimited
Explores
budget
more.
explores more. But
Yeah.
if you get to do the series, you have a chance to somehow rival the book.
But that's
being
why.
that-
Yeah. Please.
So being contrarian though can also limit you in possibilities because you're so late to adopt or even consider adopting new things that are emerging, right? And then but where I do see it benefiting is like being an early adopter that has like, so for example, like Bitcoin, right? Like being a contrarian investor in that, like you're like, nah, I think this is gonna work or whatever, and you're ahead of the curve and you got it Bitcoin at like $100. Now you're like a multimillionaire.
Right.
And it benefited you that way by sticking to your guns that way. Versus like you might be counterculture in a way where it's like, that's trendy, I don't want to do it because I'm into skinny jeans and they're into big pants or whatever, right? So sometimes I think that one, it doesn't give a fuck. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your life in any way if you do it like that. But in another way, if you can foresee the future and you hold on to those beliefs, you could benefit your life like crazy.
One of the most interesting contrarian points I've heard recently was Martin Scorsese, and he came out and said that Marvel movies are not cinema. It's not movies.
It's a theme park. It's a roller coaster.
I personally loved it, not because I don't enjoy Marvel movies, because I do enjoy, like, some of them I don't like, some of them I like, all that shit. But I liked it because he just threw something into our culture that said, like, let's try to talk about that, and it's interesting. Like, it's interesting to take something that everyone loves and to try to like poke holes in it and see if it can stand up.
Does it withstand everything
But
you can throw at it?
but I think a lot, but it's not very contrarian to Martin Scorsese because he's the king of the cinema freaks. And you would go to any cinema, we'd all be go, Marvel comics aren't real cinema. We're like, yeah, of course not. We never thought of it as cinema anyway.
Especially if we just sucked some Marvel dick
You
to.
know what I mean when I say cinema, though, because you know what I'm talking about. The average person hears cinema and they go, "Of course, it's cinema. What are you freaking talking about?" It's so
There's a group of
Hollywood movie people, like, we never considered that cinema in the first place.
Right.
So it's contrary to those people, but to his group of people, it's very
Well,
normal.
there's a group of people though that might argue that it isn't considered cinema now, but if you fast forward 20 years ahead and you look back,
Possibly.
no one's ever done what Marvel has done either, you know?
No.
So it's like in its own right, it's like,
But-
shit, respect, tip the hat.
No, it's amazing what it is, but as far as a filmmaker, the cinema, what urges cinema is not what is urged to how
What
they
is
made.
cinema then?
I don't know.
Cinema is
Only
like,
vintage stuff?
no,
No, it's just telling a deep story, like, right? Like, actually letting,
Recent movie example.
I mean, take,
Nomadland.
Any Annapurna shit, probably.
Perna, A24 movie.
A24 movie.
Richard Linklater, like, I mean, frankly, Scorsese movies, like,
Scorsese movie.
They say like the modern day filmmaker is like the novelist of like Steinbeck's days, and it's like so the filmmakers are like they're making like these novels, like they're telling these stories, as opposed to like someone writing Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction's great, comic books are great. That's their books.
Pulp Fiction.
They're all books.
The comic genre,
but
not
this
the
is
movie.
not the movie.
you know how when you're watching like a Scorsese movie, like Casino or Goodfellas or any of that stuff, you sort of just forget about, if you know anything about movie structure, you sort of forget about the structure completely,
Yeah.
and you're just on this, like, there's such depth and there's richness there. Yeah, and there's just so much happening, and it's so much deeper than just like, and now we're at page 45, and it's time to have fun and games.
Well, the thing about a Marvel book is a pop film, not just Marvel, a pop film, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny, we audition for them and all this kind of stuff, and they like have all these NDAs, and you're like, why is there? To me, as an actor, I go, why is there an NDA? We all know the movie.
Yeah,
We can sit here and go, we can look at a poster, I can tell you the name of the movie, and we can all tell you, this is what's going to happen in the movie. We all know. That's why it's not.
You gave it away in the trailer.
We're getting the trailer. We don't even need the trailer. Show me the poster. Give me the title of the fucking thing,
Yeah.
and we're going to tell you exactly what
Meet the
happened.
girl on page whatever.
Just fine. And we all want to. That's the joyride of it's the roller coaster that we all know
And there's no hate. There's no hate.
there's no hate. But cinema's a story that's gonna not do that. We don't
It's gonna
necessarily
challenge all the expectations. a
challenge
little
you.
bit,
It's just
yeah.
something it may end good to me.
It's like saying this, right? It's like coming out and going like, yeah, dude, this isn't a drama. And it's like, duh, if you understand a terminology. Like, this is an action movie or whatever. But then people hear cinema, they go, wait, that's a film.
Film, and it could be a cinema comedy. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It's just not sticking the same conventionalism as a pop culture film.
Which is why when Robert Downey Jr. brought it up on Joe Rogan, he's like, Joe Rogan's like, that's bullshit, man, all this stuff. But Robert Downey's like, no, isn't it interesting? Like, I think it's a conversation to have because he understands like what we're talking about, where it's like, no, it's just a contrarian viewpoint that is worth discussing and not just going like, that's so stupid. He's such a stupid old man. Who cares?
Right, makes you think.
I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. is the one that changed Marvel Comics and made people think that it was cinema.
He carried all of it.
Because that was the first time in modern day, that, and maybe any day, that you put an Oscar-worthy actor into a superhero film. Nothing against Christopher Reeves and whoever.
Christian
Well,
I mean, but Christian Bale was, but like Michael Keaton,
no. In the same movie as Christopher Reeves,
Marlon Brando.
Marlon
But he
Brando.
played a sub-character father. But he had that same thing, right? But you took it, and as soon as you put him in as Iron Man, which wasn't one of the most popular comics in Marvel Comics ever.
Not at all.
True.
But the degree of acting he was doing, the choices he was doing as Tony Stark, made everyone else bring their game. For the first film they did together, you're like, everyone else is bullshitting. Like, this dude's coming on screen, and then you get Mark Ruffalo playing a bit Hulk, and you saw these other Hulks, and those guys are good actors, but like Mark Ruffalo also, Oscar-worthy kind of dude, and he's like, everyone's like, we gotta step our game up. And it changed how we feel. That's actually, maybe because I'm just an actor, the power of what actors can bring into a project. It's not just the producer.
They set the bar. Yeah.
You know, it's like everything that works together. But Robert Downey Jr. alone was like, changed the whole he made the Marvel Universe.
Oh yeah.
That's why MCU starts with Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's why they're fucked without him, I think. And that's a contrarian viewpoint.